Hey guys, Nautilus here, and welcome to this Nautilus support guide. In this video, I'll teach you how to animation cancel like a pro and make the nastiest hooks that your enemies won't see coming, just to make sure that you win as many of your solo queue games as possible. A little about me, I was challenger in the past and I'm currently high master tier. But how about we just get into the guide and start with the runes. Alright, so firstly, there are two types of runes you can go on Nautilus. It's either Aftershock or Glacial Augment. And Aftershock is not really being played anymore due to Glacial Augment just being too strong. You can perhaps go Aftershock into something like Leona, but we will mainly focus on Glacial Augment right now. So therefore you will create a rune page via inspiration and therefore of course pick Glacial Augment. And what Glacial Augment does is that when you hit your hook, your basic attack, which also is a CC, we'll get into that later, then you create 3 rays of slowing effect, and also enemies that are standing on these slowing effects, they also deal less damage to your teammates. They don't deal reduced damage to you, but they deal reduced damage to your teammates. Basically, it's a really strong rune, and you will see it in game, of course, when we analyze the game. Okay, so secondly, you can go for Hex Flash. Hex Flash is basically an aggressive rune, allows you to use Flash even though you don't have Flash up. You kind of know the deal already for sure. Down here, you can go either one, honestly. Cookie's just got a bit nerfed here in this patch. Minion Dematerializer is basically good if you are unable to walk up to minion wave and auto attack to get the relic stacks. So this could be against like double poke, or maybe if you're against like Leona and Callista, then it can maybe be hard to just walk up to the wave without being engaged on. So either you can just go Futures Market, Minion Dematerializer, or Cookies. It's totally up to you. I've just been used to you going Cookies basically because you can never go wrong with it. Sometimes you can bait the enemies to engage onto you and then you just pop a bunch of cookies and you just stay healthy. And it also gives you a bit of mana when you're low on mana. Anyways, down here you go for Cosmic Insight. This is because Cosmic Insight reduces the cooldown of your flash by 40 seconds, which means that if you flash onto the ADC and he flashes away, then the next time that you have your flash up, he won't have flash. The enemy won't have flash for 40 more seconds, which means there's a huge window of 40 seconds where you have flash and the enemy don't have flash. And you can always capitalize on that with a champion like Nautilus because you have so many engaged tools, right? So secondly, you go Resolve, and here is a little bit up to you what you want to go for. I recommend going for Unflinching. This gives you tenacity, so people can't slow you down or whatever. And then you can either go for something like Conditioning, if you're like in a matchup where you're scaling, but usually you play Nautilus to win lane, right? So it makes more sense to go something like Second Wind or Bone Plating, or even Shield Bash, or Front of Life even, honestly. But I will explain why you take the different ones so you can make the right decision in your game. So Second Wind is basically if you're against hard poke. Let's say they have like I don't know, double range, such as, let's just say, Twitch Lulu or something maybe, I don't know. The reason why I say Twitch is because his poison allows this effect to linger on for a longer time, right? Because of it always is always reapplying, but honestly you can just stomp a Twitch, so perhaps you don't want to go for Second Wind then. But I like to take Shield Bash because it's just a satisfying sound effect when you use it. I don't know, you guys probably agree. But basically Shield Bash gives you a little bit more damage when you use your basic attack after having a shield on yourself, which your W gives you, of course. And then also the Shield Bash also gives you a bit of armor and MR when you are shielded. So honestly I think that's a really good pick. So down here, I always go attack speed actually. This is a little bit uncommon for supports, but I think it's really good on Nautilus because, as you might know, then when you auto-attack an opponent, then your auto-attack makes them sort of rooted. So they can't move, they can use spells and auto-attacks and stuff, but they can't move. So therefore it's good to have a lot of attack speed, so in a teamfight you can auto-attack a bunch of different targets. And also your W gives you a little bit of like on-hit damage, so it's good to always be able to reapply that on-hit damage with some extra attack speed. Down here I just recommend going armor and MR, just to give you tankiness, because you're the one who's jumping in front of the enemies, right? So you don't want to get bursted, or you want to survive basically. So therefore it's really good to just have a little bit of extra resistances. Alright, so let's take a look at the matchup of this game. We have Draven Nautilus against Lucian and Pyke. And this is quite a spicy matchup, right? Because both are very aggressive kill lanes, so it can go either way. But I would say we have the upper hand, since Draven can probably stomp Lucian, because Draven damage is just too high if they trade basic attacks. And I have a lot of all-in, so it's gonna be like an all-in fight either way. And I think the interactions between Pyke and Nautilus are pretty like unique and really interesting and really fun to play as well. Because if Pyke tries to hook me, what I can do is that right as I'm getting hit by his hook, I can grab a wall, and what ends up happening is that I get pulled towards him, but then suddenly I just fly all the way to the wall, and therefore I sort of neutralize his grab. And also if Pyke is charging Q, what you can do as Nautilus is you can Q him, and then you sort of like bump into each other. And there are many different small interactions there, but usually it's favored for the Nautilus if you just hook the Pyke as he's hooking. But there's also a little micro frame where Pyke is actually able to use his E to completely neutralize the Nautilus hook, just like an S will E. But I've only seen it a few times and people don't know how to do it yet, at least, so we don't have to worry about that. But I'm excited to share all of these small interactions and combos with you, so let's get started. Alright, so now we're in game, and like I talked about, early game is probably going to be a little bit spicy, can go a little bit off everywhere. The like sort of thing that they have going for themselves is that they have Hail of Blades, of course, so it's really good for their early trades. But basically what we need to do is just to make sure that we have a favorable position where our hook is more impactful than the enemy Pyke hook. But we'll see how it goes. As you can see, we have the same summoners on both sides, so it's purely gonna be up to how each fight is played out. So as you can see here, I'm doing the ward trick in the bush, and enemy Pyke is actually also doing the ward trick. And the trick is about that you walk straight to the bush, you place the ward in that bush, and then you recall and buy sweeper. And for some reason, sweeper's cooldown goes really low. As you can see, it's only 34 seconds until I can use it again, which is perfect timing for when the minions arrive in the lane, which then sort of gives you 2 trinkets level 1, so it's like a neat little trick. Something I've actually come to discover, or whatever you want to call that, is that after then the first recall, if you have sweeper off cooldown, it's best to swap the sweeper to a regular ward trinket actually, because otherwise you'll be stuck on the sweeper when you move out on the map and you can't place any wards anywhere. So that's one downside of this trick, is basically that if you keep the sweeper and you try to swap it to a ward while the sweeper is on cooldown, the ward is like on a 2-minute cooldown or something, so therefore you can't really get to the ward again. So you're kind of like stuck on the sweeper unless you somehow like switch it out when the sweeper is not on cooldown. So it's like a thing I'm still like figuring out how to play around fully, but honestly, it's really fine. If the enemy doesn't do the sweeper trick as well, you sort of just get a lot of pressure from lane with that, because you have control of the bushes. If they try to ward a lane bush, you just sweeper and they can't walk anywhere because you're sitting there ready to hook, and they can't walk up in the lane because they have to be scared of a potential hook coming out of the bush. So yeah, it's like a win-win, but the only downside is that you might get stuck on a sweeper and you can't ward for your mid laner, for example, after recalling once or twice. So as you can see here in the lane, they have the upper hand level 1, I would say. So I should be a little bit careful of Pyke hook, but it's a little bit spicy of course. But the reason why they have the upper hand is because, am I gonna get hooked? I was expecting the hook to land faster here, I think. The reason why it's spicy is because of Hail of Blades of Pyke, of course. So usually what Pykes will do is that they will of course try to charge up the Q when people can't see it. So I expect him to be charging Q right now, since he stopped attacking the ward. So I expect him to throw the Q out about now, because if he started charging it from the start, it would run out of time and he would have to throw it. So here I tried to sort of animation cancel in the way that if I get CC'd by hook, my hook by enemy hook, then my hook will still be in the animation, and what would happen is that I would pull towards the Pyke, but still land onto the Lucian afterwards, and therefore sort of neutralize his hook. But actually, Pyke was not charging his hook quite yet, so therefore Draven ends up being hit by the hook. I believe if Draven just flashes forward here and I ignite Lucian, we can probably get a kill. But let's see how it all plays out. So of course both exhaust. It's a little awkward auto attack battle. I get the first blood, so that's good, I guess. It's a 1-for-1, a little spicy. But I get the first blood, so that's pretty good. And then the Spider-Man meme, like both supports are like, oh, you took the kill. Like, because everyone was doing exactly the same thing, so that's kind of funny actually. The wave is kind of fucked though, because now it's pushing into them, but it's not crashing into the turret, which means that we have to step up this far on the lane to be able to push in this siege minion wave. And by stepping this far up, you're putting yourself at risk, of course, because you're far away from your turret. But yeah, hopefully Draven can get there in time and we will be able to crash and then recall. So crash means that you push the wave, like a big wave, you push into turret. So, I mean, you can also call that a slow push, but yeah, basically we need to crash this wave. And I need to get a recall so I can spend my gold, because I got the first blood gold, right? So I'm trying to get some relic stacks without taking too much damage. Actually, it's fine if I take damage, because I'm gonna recall anyway, so that's why I don't really mind. That's something you can keep in mind. Of course, you don't take damage until you die, but you can take a lot of damage, because if you're going recall anyways, then the enemies are sort of wasting their time attacking you, because you're gonna get full health from base anyways. So right now they think that I recall because of doing this little trick, which everyone in high elo knows about. So they don't expect me to be here probably. Of course they still have to respect it a bit, but they shouldn't expect me to be here. So Pyke is, as you can see, a little bit scared, but he can walk in, right? Because he's like, he's probably B. So let's see. Since I've been talking so much, I haven't kept track of enemy jungler and stuff, so I can't really talk about that. So I feel like I'm a little bit far up here because his axe fell backwards, and now I'm a little bit in trouble, I would say. But Pyke is not charging Q. So basically, how you want to position in lane is that you want to be on the line of your, like slightly behind the first minion. So I should be like here, and Draven is here, and then it would be fine, right? You want to sort of be on line with your ADC, because if I'm forward and he's backward, he can't follow up, right? So that's pointless. So me being up here when he's there is like troll. So therefore you need to keep that in mind. So like me hooking here sure is poke and stuff, but I don't think it's good, because I'm gonna get Pyke hooked and Pyke eat after this, and my ADC can't damage right now. Like he needs 1, 2, oh, here is the auto, right? And he can only place 1 because now there's a hook. So this was greedy grief by me. So let's see. I still have my flash. I died to Lucian Q. Because he didn't have time to place an auto attack. But I died to Lucian Q because it was like how to sort of wind up, I guess. So that was like a clear mistake, right? So just make sure to avoid this sort of mistake. So as you can see, this is a little trick. You pop Sweeper when you walk into a bush, and then when people place a ward to reveal you, so they can kill you, then it gets denied, and now he can't see me, so that's why he has to flash forward to even get vision of me. So yeah. But yeah, he's a little bit lucky that he gets to wind up the Q, but of course it was super greedy by me to be this far up. So yeah, I buy cloth armor since obviously we're against heavy AD lane, Lucian and Pyke, so the armor is gonna be really good. So, like it wouldn't make sense to, for example, buy a Negatron cloak, you know, the magic resist 450 item. Because like at any point in this game it's kind of troll to buy that one. Of course you have to buy it at some point, but it won't have like much use. So even though it's more expensive, I would rather buy cloth armor if I had the choice. So now the lane looks a little bit spicy. I mean, we just need to crash and Draven can get a recall. So yeah. Also, the dragon is coming up, and we have a Shyvana who, as you know, probably always wants to take the dragon. So here again, I'm just sort of taking damage, because why not? Like, they can't fight back because we're in this huge wave. So it's like, why not just do it? Because why not? It's like a little trade. If they troll or whatever, maybe we can burn a summoner. If they fight back, they lose. So it's like a win-win in every situation. Fortunately, Draven somehow didn't get to recall here. I don't know if he got sort of cancelled. I guess he recalled in a greedy position, because he had to cancel his recall due to Pyke W probably. You know, when Pyke goes invisible. So Hex Slash can come in really beneficial from this sort of bush, because you can go out and then suddenly you can hook in these different angles. When you're in this bush, you can't really hook here, right, because it's a fat wall. But yeah, also it is actually possible to Hex Slash from these bushes, from this bush into this bush without being seen. You just have to be super duper on the edge, and if you know how to do it, it's really really good. Of course, because you can just jump from one bush to another without being spotted. I thought it wasn't possible, but then lately I've been doing it, and it's really really nice. Because you have to be really on the edge to make it work. So here I'm trying to tank the wave with my W, which is the shield, right? To make sure that the wave doesn't go into turret, because then the wave will be in a bad spot for them and they need to crush this wave, and maybe we can fight back. The reason why, of course, this is a bad spot for them is because they're a bit far up the lane, and if my jungler is here and flanks them, they die. I don't know if you guys know the spells well, but Q is of course the hook. My passive is the auto attack thing. If you auto attack something, it deals a little extra damage and roots them. So basically you wanna, Q people and then use auto attack to make them stand still even longer, and then you can press R or E or whatever you wanna do after that. But that's the main combo, right? The combos are pretty simple, honestly. I mean, you can do some cool stuff or whatever, but Nautilus is a pretty straightforward champion. Hook someone, press R, or you just press R, wait for them to bounce up into the air, and then hook them so you can't miss. It's a really good champion for climbing, and it's a really simple champion to execute. You can't really go wrong with him. And then, as I said in the intro, there are a few cool combos you can do to really make the most of the champion. So for example here, instead of just being hooked, if I hook the wall before it touches me, it will sort of be wind up, so I would fly to him and then fly to the wall. But there was I was considering hooking him in this situation, but there were too many minions, so I didn't believe that I would be able to hook him. And it would be really bad if I hit the minions, so I just didn't do anything there. I don't know what my Draven is doing here. I don't know why he suddenly decided to auto-attack Lucian and stuff. I mean, there's no hook, so maybe that's why he feels safe, but he shouldn't really trade, he should just focus on the wave, I feel like. Yeah, he's trying to hit Lucian hard, but it's not possible right now. But yeah, that's fine though. I died to it though. So here you can sort of see how because Nautilus abilities, they take quite a duration to use. So as you can see, this bar shows how long the animation / cast time is. So while I'm being stunned by a Mumu, I'm actually using my Q. And technically, if you think about it, when you use your Q, you're stunning yourself, sort of, for a brief moment, right, while casting. So I'm using that moment while I'm being stunned by a Mumu anyways, to wind up my Q, get the ignite off onto Lucian and get a kill. So that's a little bit of a good trade kill there. Of course Draven should have been dead, shouldn't have died in the first place, and so on, but I get a little kill there, sort of from a 1v3 situation, I would say. So that's good. After you get into base, you should always try to walk mid lane, just for a ward at least. Don't force the roam / the gank too much. If your mid laner doesn't want the gank, you don't need to gank him, but you can always just help out with a little ward. Since right now, the reason I'm allowed to be here in mid lane is because the wave was neutral, enemy bot lane crashed the wave and recalled. And now Draven has to not touch this wave, and then by the time I'm holding this wave for my mid laner so he can get it. He can even make a freeze if he wants to. But basically, by the time Draven starts pushing, and then he needs to crash a wave, right? Because he's basically slow pushing right now, and he needs, every ADC needs help with a slow push to crash the wave. This is pretty simple, and you will learn more of these common patterns in the game, right? So I need to go bot lane here, because he's gonna either get pushed in or engaged on, or he's gonna start slow pushing. So it's important to help a guy do what he needs to do with a wave so he can farm, right? If you don't farm in a game, you're losing the game because you're losing out on so much money. So I'm looking for Pyke with the sweeper there to see if he was hiding. I'm trying to see if I can bait the hook, but he's actually top lane, I realize now. So therefore I look for an engage. I predict his Lucian E, but the reason why I look for engage is because Pyke is top lane, so therefore we're 2 against 1, of course. So I predict he's gonna Lucian E, but it's not enough range sadly, so I pop a sad crying B, sad B. Lucian is freaking out in the chat. My heart. Yeah, understandable, because he's like, I mean now he's trolling, no? So what you do, if you're insecure about your hook skills, then you just go for a right click, so they can't move, right, because they're snared. And this is similar how to when Glacial is being used on Fresh. Then I pop one right click, I auto attack him once, and suddenly there's like a big slowing field everywhere and he can't move. And also he's of course snared. So I use my Q after the duration of the snare is finished to get maximum CC, and then I tank the turret for him a little bit. It's fine if I die, because he should not die, but let's see. So yeah, like I wait with my hook, right, because I don't want to use CC when he's already CC. It doesn't make sense. You want to CC, wait the duration, then CC again immediately, so he can't move at all. Let's see. I don't know, Draven is not really dealing damage. He only has 1 axe. I guess, I don't know if he dropped the axe at one point, but if he has 2 axes, we kill him. But maybe it was not possible. So overall, right decision to go in when people are missing, but poorly executed, I would say. But this, like I said, is a little bit spicy early game, and then as soon as this like little bit of coin flip time is over, I guess these were the coin flip moments, then now we sort of like start smurfing and doing the combos. In this specific game, I was kind of new to doing the Nautilus animation cancel, so I didn't like use it as much. Nowadays, when I play Nautilus, every 15 seconds or so, I do like animation cancel trick, where you pretend to auto attack a minion and then you Q, and then your Q animation gets completely bugged out, like I showed in the intro. And we'll get to that later, and I'll explain how to do it as well, of course. So as you can see again, after I come out of base, I go mid lane to hold a wave or help or gank or ward, anything for the mid laner. If you have mid lane control, you sort of have control of the entire game in a way, because your jungler can walk to different places and do whatever he wants, basically. So therefore I help the mid laner out with the wave, and then now I go bot lane again, so my Draven doesn't die. You know how Draven players are sometimes, so I need to take good care of him. And I spam in the chat that Pyke is missing. So here in this interaction, I see he's charging, so I try to hook. Isn't he flying through my hook, or is it just me? But also you probably know how wide Nautilus hook is. I feel like Nautilus hook is really wide usually, and usually that would hit, but yeah, whatever. So now he has no Pyke Q, and it's shorter cooldown than mine, but it's not so much shorter, so it's really fine. But good Draven damage, I guess, but now we don't have the E for all in. So as you can see, he's 6 on Pyke though, so that's not so good. Here is the trick here, you see? So when you get CC'd by anything in the game, you can sort of wind it up, like I talked about earlier. And it looks really funny like this. It's really easy to do, so you just have to try it a few times and you will know exactly how to do it. So, since Lucian dashes forward, Pyke has no spells up except ult, of course. And I know Draven has ult, and Draven ult does a lot of damage nowadays. I flash forward, get the right click, ignite, use my E. Honestly, I'm just gonna play it out and we talk about it after. So, flash forward and then wait for Q. He flashes, so I can get a nice Q, get a good ult, which would have hit 2 people up. But Pyke flashes the hook, so you probably can't kill him. So you want to ult the person that is furthest away, because everyone who is in the path while the ult is seeking also gets knocked up. So therefore I reposition myself a little down to get the good angle on these two. And then I press R. Pyke E's it, unfortunately. But as you can see, it lines up perfectly with the Q being up, but he flashes it. But I still get the CC on Lucian, he's just run out away, so this was pretty good. It's like a pretty smooth use of the abilities, I guess. And then good timing with the 6, of course. You go in when you're about to go 6, because then they don't expect it. So I know in this moment that like I'm gonna get 6. So we just go in, I use E for wave clear or whatever, and then almost get 2 kills, but we got 1. So therefore we just crush this wave. What did I do here? Oh, we're still chasing, okay. But there's nothing I can do. But yeah, we just crushed this wave. Nice double kill by the top lane actually. So again, I try to use Q when he's queuing, because then it's pretty free for me in this matchup. So I have cookies now, so he thinks I'm right? And he thinks, oh, I can almost kill him with my pike ult. But if I just use my cookie, I can always put on my shield, so therefore I don't really have to be scared. So we are hitting plates. I feel like we should just recall. So this is the sort of moment where you low-key, to a certain extent, want to leave your ADC to die. Because he's the one who's being greedy, you know what I mean? So I get really healthy from this. I could maybe look mid. They don't expect me to roam here, because we should have both been in base by now. So this is sort of capitalizing off a bad play. As you can see, he has Tornado now, so he might go in. So I'm using Hex Flash to sort of gain, what's it called, gap closing distance without showing on the map. He of course dashes because he needs to do. Again, I used the Q to deny CC. So it's unfortunate that Amumu was here to counter gank, otherwise this is of course pretty free. We have Victor ult, so it shouldn't be too hard, but... See, I get hit by the... I'm CC'd right now, but I'm still flying. It's like one of the wonders of Nautilus. People get quite annoyed at this champion because of how his Q works in different kind of situations. It looks like pretty buggy. Yeah, can't do much here. But I got the dragon though, so that's good. It's Shyvana players, they always want dragon as soon as possible. So for item builds, I actually always build Locket first, or I go Frozen Heart. Usually it's those two. You want to go Frozen Heart if enemy team has a lot of auto attackers. So for example in this game it's really good, yeah, nice. Warden's Mail is a really strong item. It gives you so much tankiness, just like Tabai Boots. Like those two items just make you unkillable against people who need to use basic attacks. So for example in enemy team comp they have Yone, Yasuo, Lucian and even Pyke. Like all of these champions are based on their attack speed, and by buying Frozen Heart, you reduce the attack speed and you completely mess up with their brains. You know, they're used to doing like right click Q, right click, bloom, 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 like all these patterns, mechanical patterns. But when you have Frozen Heart and you reduce the attack speed, then those patterns have suddenly changed and they will sort of mess up their combos. Because suddenly their auto attack is not coming out fast enough, and then they didn't get the auto attack reset, and then blah 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 blah. And also, of course, the cooldowns of Yone and Yasuo depend on attack speed. So by buying Frozen Heart, I even lowered their abilities, like the cooldown of their abilities. Actually, wait, I don't lower it, I make it higher, so they can use it less frequently. So yeah, this is really good. Sometimes I like to just buy a ruby crystal or something in early game just to get some tankiness, but like health. So again here, escaping. We're getting ganked and we're surviving at the moment. I could turn this, perhaps, but they have a Mumu, right? So it's a little risky. But basically, you just Q walls. You need to learn the distance you can Q, because sometimes it feels like you hit the wall and then it ends just in front of the wall. And it feels really bad, so you need to like practice that. So we escaped the gank. I didn't lose that much health, like it's fine, I have 2 refillable. We can look for all-in since we saw a Mumu walk really far away, and they're probably going mid lane, right? Because there's stuff going on here in mid. So we should be pretty fine 2v2 here if we want to fight. Yeah, Mumu is showing mid. Did I do the trick here? Yes, I did. Nice. So, the way to do the animation cancel on Nautilus, as you can see here, it looks completely fucked, is that basically you right click the minion and then right before the hammer, the anchor reaches like the downwards part, then you press Q in any direction, and what ends up happening is that you do the animation of the outtake finishes, but your Q is also winding up, and then it becomes like a backwards or sideways Q. And it's really unexpected. I can imagine in gold and silver or whatever rank you are in. then people, like in those elos, is what I mean, though they have never seen it before for sure. Unless they like to go on YouTube, maybe. But like this combo is fairly newly discovered and is pretty unknown to the average person, or average player rather, of course. So it's definitely something you can abuse, and basically the way you abuse it is that the minion wave is like this in the middle, and then the enemies are maybe here, and you just auto-attack 1 minion, you auto-attack 2 minions, and then on the third one, instead of just auto-attacking it, you're doing the trick, and they completely get hooked, because they think, he's just auto-attacking minions at the moment, but then suddenly the hook is like bugging out and they get hooked, right? And then you just press R, use the auto-attack, they're completely locked down, and your ADC kills them. So this is really, really fun. It requires a little bit of practice, of course, but it's really, really fun. It makes Nautilus feel like a different champion almost, when you know that trick. Okay, I need to get out of here. Okay, I dodged the hook because it's kind of obvious that he will think that I'm gonna take the plant ASAP because I'm scared. Okay, I go in like a maniac, but I have Draven ult to follow up, so it's fine, because we get Draven gold reset on his passive, you know? So it's worth it. You can see here. So I dodged the Pike spells, right? Now he has no spells, so therefore I feel like I can actually go in on him. Because I know I can lock him down with all my CC, and he has nothing to escape. Maybe he could have a flash, right? But then it is what it is. You have to take some flip sometimes. So, dead. I'm gonna... I write in the chat, I'm not sure why I queue. It was a little bit of a psychopath move, honestly. So I'm just gonna move out of base. My team has a nice fight here, I guess. Oh, he lives. Okay, the random Aatrox coming from behind the turret. Pretty aggressive move as well. Alright, and the ult jet. Scary Aatrox walking. Menacing. I probably meant to write. Okay. Oi! That Pike ult missed. I get a hook here. By the way, your hook is almost like when you hook champions, it's always a little bit longer than you expect. It sort of like attaches onto people. Like even if he is here, he gets hit. It's like a bit messed up, you know? It's pretty messed up. Of course, I'm using the Astro Nautilus skin. It's my favorite. I have a dark chroma as well. It's pretty smooth. I love the animations. It's really pretty almost. They changed the animation as well like they updated it visually as well to make it even better. So it's just a great skin, I recommend using it. As you can see, you can hook walls to move to different places faster as well, just for mobility's sake. It's pretty efficient. And Aatrox is pretty strong, so I'm just gonna stay out of vision here, and I'm hoping that they go in on him, but since he's so far away now, I need to walk forward as well. See, I don't know if he has a wind wall or not. So as you can see here, I'm gonna get hit by the Pike E. So therefore I have to just throw out the hook anyways, like to just see if it hits anything. Unfortunately I can't aim the hook more to the right, because there are minions here and my hook is really wide, like a really wide hitbox. So I just have to hope for the best basically. So, nice kill on the Yasuo actually, died to ignite. So I'm trying to help the Aatrox, but honestly I can't do anything. I don't know why he keeps going, right? I mean, it's fine, he's super fed, right? I respect it. He basically got Pike hooked, that's what messed it up. And then he gets a Q on me instead, so that's a bit scary. Maybe I should wait with my Q here, but by the time Pike is ult, I would stand next to the wall and wouldn't really have anything to hook, so it's fine. You know, I'm talking about cancelling the hook from Pike with my Q. So I'm just gonna take these minions. So yeah. Just gonna put some wards. Always put your wards before you recall, because why not? Like there's no reason not to put them down. Unless of course you're gonna give free gold to the enemy, but if you just ward like a little bit like normal, then it's really fine. Don't have to worry about it. Okay, so my team finished with the mid turrets, therefore we can sort of look into invading, because we had a lot of mid prio. Draven is dead, Pollution is also dead. So I had a pretty good angle here. I just need to know that she is down with her ult to follow up. A little bit awkward that it hits the wall. This is actually something that high elo players do quite often to bait a Nautilus in. He didn't intend to in this case, but it sometimes ends up happening. That you're aiming a Q for someone and then it hits the wall instead, and then you arrive at a destination you didn't intend to arrive at. But sometimes it's good, because then you can still be in auto-attack range, and then it's like, it doesn't matter that I missed the hook, because I'm just gonna right-click you anyways. But in this case, of course, I didn't really want to to be there, so I'll just start a recall here, I guess. So I get a base. I almost have my frozen heart. As you can see, I just bought. For some reason, I've decided to buy like the upgrade my ruby crystal to kindle gem, just because I didn't have the gold for frozen heart. So I just decided to have as many, what you call, like combat items, or as many items as possible now with me when I leave the base. I don't recommend doing that, but I don't know. I did it in this case. I think it's better to just save up for the item that you really need, especially since Frozen Heart is so important in this specific game. So yeah, Draven is dying for fun, but it's fine. It's really not like a game-losing play, you know what I mean? As a team, we don't lose anything from that, so it's really fine. I'm trying to get to him, this guy, to help, and using Sweeper to check if the enemies are aware that I'm coming. It's really good to know, because for example now I'm hiding because they didn't see me. So maybe they go on to the Victor here and I get a good engage like this, and then we get 2 fast kills because we knew that they didn't have vision. Like imagine, I mean, I'm not claiming to be a fucking god or anything, but I'm just explaining what's happening so you guys can do similar things, I guess. I'm not trying to brag, is what I mean. Maybe, I don't know if it comes across as that, but it's not my intention. But as you can see, if I was a normal player, like, as you can see, most people would probably like leave this bush or something maybe and just show, but we know that they have no wards, so therefore I decided to stay in the bush to make sure that we can set up like a trap like this. And I of course ult the furthest away person again, like the Lucian, so that Amumu also gets knocked up and we get 2 quick kills. Yeah, so with this we can push in waves, we can take jungle camps, get bigger advantages like that. So I use my Q to move around because I want a ward. So since they have 3 people dead actually, we can get some deep vision, so I can place wards around here, which is really nice. It's always nice to have deep vision basically, so you can see where people are leaving towards the map. You can see if the enemies are going towards top or mid or bot. And then we can plan around that basically, make plays based on where the enemies are walking towards. So since they have a bounty on Herald, it's pretty good to take Herald just to sort of deny that. And here is actually when the big play comes. Oi! That's the one. That's the one you've seen. That's the trick. And I actually somehow get the minion too. That's pretty interesting, because usually you don't. But I guess there is a way to do that too. Maybe it's relic interaction? I don't know. But yeah, this hook is completely unseen, right? Like how can enemy prepare for this? He thinks I just want the siege minion, but then we get the animation cancel into a wide hitbox on the Q. And I use the CC here from the Yasuo Tornado to wind up my Q as well for maximum efficiency. Because if I get CC'd and then I have to fall down again and then look for Q, maybe I'm not in range anymore. So it's really good to sort of to use the enemy CC to buffer up your abilities. Again, I sort of do it in a way, I auto attack and then I get in position and then I can Q, right? Because he's still CC'd. And I wrote in chat that it's legal because that Yasuo is actually my friend. Hidon, who is a coach as well. Oh, I wouldn't call myself a coach, but yeah. So I'm looking for Lucian, of course. Oh, he flashes it actually. Just being a little lucky. So also your W is an auto attack reset, which means that here I auto attack regularly and then I press W and then my auto attack is fully ready to be used again. It's just a little way to deal more damage. You always want to like auto attack and then use a spell, right? And in this case you can auto attack again right after, which is the good part. So I know I'm gonna get like CC'd here and I don't know where he's going exactly, so I just press R because this guy is flying all over the place, right? So I just press R, to make sure I get him stuck, right? And then I go for Q, get the Yasuo, check. I wonder if I aimed at Yasuo even here, or if I just aimed for the dead pike. Nah, I probably aim for like sort of mix of both, I would say. Because they're in line anyways, right? So it's good either way. So I didn't actually get to finish my Frozen Heart. Unless I recall, of course. I mean, don't I die here? No, I live. I have the W up again. Lucky me. So, we are just gonna retreat. I'm gonna skip a little bit. It's just gonna be a little bit of... Oh, okay. I was about to say it's just gonna be a little bit of warding and recalling, but they actually surrender. So yeah, that's a little victory. Alright, so that was a pretty quick win. I think it was like a 20 minutes win-ish. Early game was a little bit flipped, right? But sort of worked out, and then we got some good combos. I got to showcase what I wanted to show, I feel like. Maybe I explained about the abilities too little, but the combos are fairly simple. Just use your intuition, basically. You make people stuck one way or another, and then you use the other tools that make people stuck afterwards. It's pretty simple, so I hope that it was helpful, and I got many other guides lined up as well. I've been sort of procrastinating the guides a little bit because I think I look so tired, so I don't really want to like sort of show myself on camera. So I've been procrastinating the guides a little bit, but I haven't played League of Legends, so I actually do have like maybe 4 or 5 other guides I can make anytime, but I just haven't like been feeling it, sort of. So I'm happy to have done this guide now, and I hope you want to check out the other guides. But otherwise, I hope it was helpful, and see you in the next one.